fourth episode to me, I think might be my favorite episode because again, Tyra, us being horror fans, and Elle, I know you like horror too. And Real, are you a horror fan? I know you. Okay, so you're a horror fan. Only horror,
man. Got me. The witch.
Yeah. B, I know you're not a fan of this film because I think it said it freaked you out, but I was getting Midsummer vibes all throughout this episode.
all day.
I love this episode from top to bottom, and we're gonna talk about Dominique Fishback, but I don't want to forget because this person blew me away, Billie Eilish. I think this is her first time acting, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I thought she was a veteran. I would have known that this was her first time on screen. I thought that her creepiness, Ava, was just, I don't know. I got a lot to say about this episode, but I want to start with you, Real. This episode being titled "Running Scared," I believe. What was some moments that stood out to you? This was when we finally get the truth about, she was going by Kayla, which I believe she was taking the names of people. At least I think that she took the name from the person's car she took with Kayla, how she came up with that name or whatever. But what stood out to you about the truth? What scene was something that stood out to you? What was maybe something that didn't work with you in this episode? But Running Scared, like I said, is my favorite. But what say you?
Yeah, I mean, I was just getting, white women and their good intentions. But at the same time, I still kind of wonder, was there something more nefarious at play going on with them that we don't really know the whole story with all of that. So that was really weirding me out because I was getting, like you said, Midsummer, Florence Pugh type teas going on. That opening sequence, it reminded me of Get Out, but it also reminded me of Psycho yet again. Marion Crane getting stopped by the police officer and him following her, and that police officer following her to the gas station. It was reminding me of that a lot. I love the episode. I'm still scratching my head about the episode, but it was so well done. Yeah. And then just the Coachella of it all. It really reminded me of that episode of Insecure when they go to Coachella and they don't manage to see Beyonce.
Yeah. Yep. She better do Bugaboo.
She said, "Don't remember me this way.
Remember me different."
Would you What'd you think about Miss Cricket here? Getting her, luring her, being as you just, she always, something about this show too. The white people gravitating towards Dre. I don't know. She's like a magnet towards white people.
Luring her in that way and kind of going to her rescue kind of situation, trying to save her. And she don't want to be saved.
Again, I know a lot of Midsummer vibes coming from this episode, man. But besides the creepiness, craziness, these almost kind of Salem witch type of vibes. But what did you think about the performances and Billie Eilish, man? Do you have any thoughts about her performance and going toe to toe with the great Dominique Fishback?
Well, let's start there. Billie Eilish. I mean, I've heard the name a number of times, but
she's a mega star.
Yeah, but still, I'm not that familiar with her personally. But she still did a great job in this episode. I want to say this was my favorite episode of the whole series by far. Because it did give me those Midsummer vibes. That movie was amazing, but it still haunted me. It still freaked the.
Did you watch Midsummer?
Yeah, I saw it.
I'm proud of you, B.
Yeah, I actually went to an early screening for it, and when it was done, I was proud of myself. But when I woke up the next day, I was like, this was the biggest mistake of my life because it really did haunt me for like literal months. I was uncomfortable. But that's what made this episode so good because we got 3 episodes of Dre, her crazy ass, but we have a whole team of crazies, white lady crazy
energy.
Yeah, and the episode is titled Dre Meets Some White Girls, and with it just being so vague like that, I'm just like, okay, who is crazier than who? Who is gonna out crazy the crazy? And so I was really drawn in for that, and I knew from jump that this was a some type of cult group or whatever. That don't even make any sense. Like as soon as she showed her doing the flowers, I was like, oh hell no. You know what I mean? Dre, get out of there. You better run right now. But I was like, wait a minute, they probably need to chop your ass up. You deserve it. So I was on Dre's team, but I was voting for both people. Like it was switching back and forth which team I was on. If I was team Dre or team white girl. But when Billy, and also you're talking about Salem, one of the girls is named Salem. And also Eva, when she went in there and started hypnotizing her or whatever, I was like, oh snap, she's trying to get him in the sunken place or whatever. And I was like, it is working. But I was also just saying, you can see this is my favorite episode. I was also trying to figure out, is Dre just ignorant of where she is right now, or does she know what the deal is? But then I was like, maybe she is ignorant because she came to when she remembered her phone or whatever. But I mean, I don't like, the thing about it is these cults, these sects, these type of groups like this, they are very good at like luring you in. Even if you think you're the smartest person in the world, they're not going to be like, hey, you want to come to my courthouse or whatever. They're not going to do that. You're just going to be there, and then you're going to realize, like, wait a minute, like, where am I at? Because that happened to me once, like back in 2012. This guy, I thought we was going to church. But he was like, no, we're going to Bible study. And I was like, okay, well, I grew up on the Bible. Like, of course I'm, and my second time going, I realized where I was. But because of that, that personal experience, this episode resonated with me even more. Making it my favorite out of the show. But the thing that I was just so entertained how it was going to play out. I was like, okay, are they going? Because cults like this, they trick you and think they're telling you the truth. But it's nothing but lies, manipulation, and deception, and you can't come and go as you please, And so I was like, are they going to be able to allow her to go? And she just kept making up excuses why she wouldn't give her that phone. And I was like, okay, man, what's going to happen? And then all the girls showed up, and I was on Dre's team. But as soon as Dre started getting pleasure out of murdering them, my switch flipped, and I was like, wait a minute, Dre is like. It was too much, she was the queen of the crazies at that. Like she was really like giggling, like yeah. I was just like, oh my goodness. I said I had to take a break after the first episode. I had to take a second break after episode 4. I didn't come back until the next day. It was too much, and she beat that girl. Yeah, it was too much. It was too much. But it was good. It was good though. But I needed a break.
Look, me and Ty were like, it just wasn't enough. We need more. Kill them all, Drake. Kill them all. Elle, talk to me. What did you think about this episode from an acting perspective, narrative perspective? What was your favorite moments? Maybe some moments that didn't work for you. Talk to me.
I love this episode. This episode was the episode where I was talking to the TV, and you know what I mean? Like, girl, don't you go over there. Don't eat that food. You don't know. Did you see them make that food? Like I was talking, like I was very into it. I was talking to the TV, and I knew that like everything that happened after Cricket got rid of the cop, I was like, nah, it's a setup. It's a setup. Absolutely not. Because you can be a good Samaritan, right? That's what we want allies to be. We want allies to be like, nah, let me use my white privilege to make, this person be okay. Right. So after that, why are you inviting her to the house, baby? Why? Like, that's not what you, that's a huge leap from like, let me be an ally and help you to let me invite you to my house in the woods. First of all, we don't do like strange and unknown things in the woods. Like that's just first and foremost. And then when she got to the house and they were like, here's your room, and they had like 12 beds. I'm like, that's cold. That's a cult. It's a cult. They just waiting on the other people to come. Like they recruiting the people to come in, and they gonna be your roommates. They gonna be your bunk buddies. You just the first one there, right? So I was like, absolutely not. And then when I thought Billie Eilish was great. I had never, I don't know if this was her, if it was.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
But I thought she did a great job. She was very natural, and Billie Eilish, not at all like disparaging anybody's looks, but her eyes are very sleepy. You know what I mean? Like the way her eyes naturally are very, very sleepy. Okay. And they're ice blue, right? And so she looked menacing to me. And the way that she was easily able to hypnotize her and snap and get her to tell her about the red milk.
Yeah.
That was good to me. And that kind of confirmed my thought about, I'm not Don't giggle. Are you giggling at me? Me don't.
No, I was laughing at real. I like her reaction to what you said.
Okay.
I was laughing. I was enjoying her reaction to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it confirmed what I was thinking about as it relates to her trauma as a child.
Right.
Like she had to have come up in trauma. She had to have come up in trauma, which is probably why she stunted. Whatever happened with that milk and her grandma, you know, that's when you're young. You go by your grandma's house because your mama got to go to work. Or your mama, or you killed your mama. You know,
right. Or you might have killed your grandmother too.
Or
Yeah.
you killed your grandma. Exactly. So whatever happened at that time, that's where she is like mentally at that age, right? She's very childish and she's very immature and doesn't understand boundaries because who would have taught her that? And then she got put into this situation with the Jacksons. And when she came unglued and jumped on that poor lady and stabbed poor girl and stabbed her, and then she left. Nobody ever taught that girl anything. Nobody ever got her any help. Nobody ever, looked into it further and was like, you know what? She does have a flat affect. She really doesn't understand boundaries. Maybe we should get her help. Nobody ever did. And so hearing that therapy session kind of confirmed my thoughts about her and her trauma. But I just was like, how was it so easy for her to hit? Because counseling, what you mean? Like, are you a therapist? Like, I just met you. And you my counselor now? I'm not. And then she had on like a uniform. Like they had got her quick. They got her quick. And I was like, wait a minute. They put her in some like scrubs and stuff. And I was like,
she's now a patient.
Fully in this cult at this point. So, that to me was very interesting. But they lured her in with the tickets. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna give you a wristband. My partner got a
connects.
Yep. So that's how they lure you in, right? Like, Scientology will lure you in with 3 squares and a job and a place to stay.
Yeah. Or tickets to the next Tom Cruise film. Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean? They throw stuff at you, and that's exactly what they did to her. And it is easy to get swept up. Millions of people do it all the time. But when she walked into that room and they had 12 empty beds in there, I was like, girl, turn around. Like, turn around and leave immediately. I thought this episode was excellent.
It was. Tyra, I gotta get your thoughts. And especially going to Elle's point, I think it was working. We noticed that her phone, I got this photo here. She hasn't talked to Marissa, aka herself, in a while because I think Eva was getting to her. She's getting in her head. Getting in her head.
Stop. I love this episode. Like, I feel like this episode encapsulated like numerous horror movies that we've loved that have come out over the years, from Get Out, The Witch, Midsummer. Like, it was just so many levels. But I have watched enough horror movies I was like, oh, this is, as soon as she picked up, I was like, oh, this is a cult. They didn't even go in the house. The whole woman empowerment, and we are here to liberate, enrich, rid you. I was like, yeah, this is a whole cult. But it just really tripped me out how quickly, even though Drea is a whole murderer, I was willing to cape for her. Like, girl, no, get out of there.
That's the brilliance of this episode and the show. Is like the pendulum of
just throwing away everything that she has done up until this point, because it's like, no, it's a house full of white women. No, and we're just getting into Seth white women always wanting to cape and save and be a savior. We know best. We know what's right. They really thought they had one. Like, you picked up the wrong one. They said, oh, she's an outsider. She's visiting. She probably doesn't have any family here. She doesn't have anywhere to go. She clearly doesn't have any money. She's trying to sleep in her car. This one in the bag. Like, all we have to do is, get her in, lure her in with the prospect of what does she like? She loves, Naja. Cool. We got passes. We got this. And, she's just going to follow along with everybody else. But the whole, first of all, it scared the shit out of me because I fell asleep when she was going name. I fell asleep and I woke up. I was like, did she snap me into submission? Like, I didn't. I didn't know what happened, Elliot. I swear I was watching. It was on and I was here. And then when she was hitting this and we were getting Get Out and the acting, them, conversing, her really low key trying to break those walls down, because it's like, I know you're lying about your name. I know you're not telling us the full truth about who you are. I'm gonna, counsel you and hypnotize you to really not even just get into your head, but get information to use against you later, so you have a reason to be a part of this cult. Like that was the whole reason for them. I felt like them cleaning out that car. Like we know that something sinister is lying underneath. We know things about you. Remember when you told me you've hurt people, and it was name? I was like, oh my gosh, like. It was so much. And Billie Eilish, like I was very surprised, not just with her, but with every single person we have here to be a guest star. They aren't just a guest star or just a name to attach to the film. They actually have presence, lines. The acting is good. I just love the whole thing. But I was just really caping. I was just mad because I'm like, we should not be rooting for her to get out of there. But the way that they were so eager to take her in, like we know what's best. We have something to offer you. Like, why aren't you taking the bait? Get away from your phone. And it worked like for 2 seconds. That whole campfire thing, it looked like the witch. I thought they was about to elevate Elliot. I thought
you have the goat come out. What was the goat's name in The Witch? I can't remember. Right into my tongue, but yeah.
Once she realizes like something's calling my name, like I hear something. Apparently they were a little too close to the Coachella. And it's just like, I remember what I'm here for. I need my phone. I don't care what you're talking about. Like she was not trying to receive any of it, and just attaching, really trying to tap into her trauma from her childhood. I personally felt like her grandmother walked in on her killing or doing something to her mother, and that the spilled milk of the red milk was of course blood. And she has been dealing with trauma and been troubled from a very early age. Like there's so many layers. I'm like, is this the only season we're going to get? Right. But, just when I cheered when she ran them over, like I loved it because like when she backed up, I thought it was hilarious because like y'all really thought y'all had one? You picked up the wrong one. When I say I want to leave, she acts polite, like just give me my phone. I'm trying to get like just the passion, because we see like every single year that moves forward, or every other year, she is trying to get to, I need those tickets. I'm trying to see her. I need to go to a show, and she just keeps missing it like by this much. But they just really didn't know who they were dealing with, and I love the fact that she ran them over and killed a couple of people on her way out. I was here for it.
Also, listen, go ahead, B.
The scene where they was in the sauna or whatever, like, is that normal? Are y'all women are y'all that comfortable around each other? Or does it just depend on how well you know the other women?
That's sister wife stuff, B.
You mean clothing optional?
Yeah, when they was in the steam room or whatever, that was a.
That's not, and that is something that's very popular. Most of
us, we be wrapped up. You might go to the spa, the sauna, but you're gonna be covered up.
Okay.
And like going out into those kind of like tents, in like a yurt kind of situation, and they do like not ashwagandha. What's the name of those mushrooms? It's they do. I can't remember
the ones they did in Best Man, the Best Man series.
Yeah, those. Yeah, they do those in that yurt, and sometimes they are nude, but that's not. We're not gonna do that.
Okay.
My question is where did that bump come from on her head?
Man,
did she knock herself out? Did Ava knock her out? Like,
they knocked sis out.
What's going on with the bump?
I don't even know.
It's one of the situations where you're glad that she killed him, because for them to have cleaned her car, realized they couldn't have thought that blood was menstruation. They had the way that blood was in that car. They knew they had to know this girl was on.
Well, Ava brings it up. She's like, who's the person you hurt? Yeah.
They still wanted her. So that lets you know how deviant were they, that they knew that about her, and they still wanted her. So they had to go.
Yeah. That is right. We can like we did the first episode, we can probably spend an hour dissecting it scene by scene. But I think generally speaking, I think I speak for myself on the panel, for maybe everyone in the chat, that acting wise, the acting was phenomenal in this show. But like y'all said, I was just so surprised by Billie, and then Dominique, someone mentioned earlier, the one tear that she had in the episode, and how she was able to pull that off, and then the moment here where she kills them all. This was fantastic. This was from top to bottom, the eeriness of it all. The, like B said, I know B wasn't the biggest fan of like rooting for her, but I think, you know, it was just that, you know, you're rooting for her towards the end, but then you're realizing that she's a killer getting away with all this. It was just great writing, great directing, great acting, and just a fantastic episode. And again, this was a pivotal episode too, with everything that we learned with the truth and her finding everything out. And again, I can't speak highly enough on Dominique Fishback, but also again, Billie Eilish. Hey, you want to do more? I know you're a pop star, singer, worldwide renowned artist, but if you want to get back on the screen, I will be welcome to it. If I see Billie Eilish on a title card or something, okay, I know she's gonna bring her A game. So shout out to Billie Eilish too. Shout out to her. But that brings us to episode 5.